Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Out to Washington, D.C., our great friend David Bozell joining us for America.org. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Don't know who had a worse day yesterday. Was it John Dean or Kevin Durant?
Good question. I'll say Dean. I think, Durant after a year will make about $30 million a year. So I think he'll be okay. Terrible. That was obviously, I guess he probably had a partially torn Achilles going into it. And he just had to take one wrong move and you tear it all away. But Dean, talk about a prop at a congressional committee hearing. I mean, I think Congressman Gates said that best yesterday. I mean, he was embarrassed. I thought, talk about embarrassing yourself personally, and just having to relive. Can you imagine like being called up in Congress like 20 years after you did some boo boo, or 40 years, I guess, after you made some mistake and having to relive it all. I don't know why anyone would put themselves through that, other than they're just out to get the president, all day, every day. So Dean's one of them.
I would agree with you on that. And by the way, for people who missed it yesterday, let's just have a couple of shots here, and we'll get David Bozell rolling at KIDO Talk Radio.
Mr. Dean, how many American presidents have you accused of being Richard Nixon?
I actually wrote a book about Mr. Bush and Mr. Cheney with the title "Worse Than Watergate."
So it's sort of become a cottage. Did you make money on that book?
It was a very successful book.
How much money did you make on it?
I'm sorry, I don't have any idea.
More than $1 million?
No.
More than $500,000?
I said I don't have any idea.
How much money do you make from CNN?
I don't really know.
John Dean's been a loser for many years, so I've been watching him on one of the networks that is not exactly Trump-oriented, and I guess they paid him a lot of money over the years. No, John's been a loser for a long time. We know that. I think he was disbarred, and he went to prison. Other than that, he's doing a great job.
That's why he's going to win a re-election. That's so much more entertaining than whatever the Democrats have to offer, which is just basically, they're all the same, all these Democrats, viciously left-wing and extraordinarily boring, I feel. I think Trump's quips like that are going to be one of the reasons that he wins again. But talk about, first off, if you've written a book and you have the you have the confidence to say it did very well, but then you have no idea how much money you made off of it, that's just, of course he knows. And the answer is it didn't do very well, and he didn't make much money off of it. So it's just it's a ridiculous show, unserious in the moment. But it points to, Kevin, and this is where I've been talking all over the country about this type of scenario. It points to what the Democrats want to do. I mean, you got to think like your opposition. They definitely want to impeach the president. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And don't think for a second that Pelosi is any more conservative than some of these left-wing nutcases that are out there running the show for the Democrat Party. Like she got quoted the other day, she wants to see the president in prison. So this is all in an effort to try to build up the case for impeachment, not so much within their ranks, but within the court of public opinion. And that's why it's just so important that the president's campaign team, that the Four Americas, that all conservative media apparatus push back against this narrative, so that we can neutralize a potential impeachment's impact on the electoral scene. They just want to get rid of him, and they think. And my prediction is that they're going to try to do it on the day that he accepts the nomination in August of 2020, just to try to take the wind out of his sails. But that's what all this stuff is designed to do. To the extent that we can get out there and predict it, we can hopefully neutralize its impact. But it's all in an effort to steal the election next year.
David Bozell joining us from foramerica.org. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. But back to what you believe, the president will be impeached the day he accepts the Republican nomination for the presidency?
Well, I'm just trying to think like my opposition. If I were the Democrats, that's what I would do. You got to look at the landscape in 2020. You've probably got a nominee that's boring half the country. Certainly, just like Gates said, 70% of Congressman Gates, 70% of Democrats want to do something that not even 40% of the country wants to have happen. So, if you're looking at a potential election in November, where this is base politics, you absolutely must get your base out. If you're the Democrat base and you have not seen your people, the Pelosi's of the world, impeach the president by then, you're going to be ticked off. You're going to think that there's not a seriousness of purpose. You were promised. If you were this radical activist, you've been promised that this will happen. So if you think like they do, you try to put yourselves in their shoes. When would you want to do that for maximum electoral impact? And if I were them, I would do it during convention week to take the wind out of his sails. And it's the last week of August, and I would throw everything at him, including impeachment, right before the November, the push till November. And I would dare the country to reelect an impeached president. I think that's the calculation that Democrats are making, because it's never been asked of the country before. Evidence be damned. I'm not suggesting that he warrants it. I'm not trying to be Justin Amash here or anything like that. The evidence is irrelevant. This is a pure political play because they promised their base that they're going to do this, and I don't think they can walk away from it. That's the way I feel about it. And if I'm wrong, great.
Right.
Then we'll prepare for nothing.
Well, we're prepared for a lot of things with David Bozell, who joins us, foramerica.org. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. But, okay, I'm naive. I'm a lot of things. Pudgy, curmudgeon, naive. This is not good for the...
I saw you on the football field the other day on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. You're
out there. You're running the 40 cones.
That's right, with the new blue. Thank you for the like on that.
There you go.
But, this is not good for the country. David Bozell, you have been involved and your family has been involved at the highest levels of holding the media accountable, of fights within the Republican Party, within the Democratic Party, with the media folks. And you've learned, just like I've learned, sometimes it's for the greater good. Both sides put down their swords. This is not certainly for the good of the country that they trump up these charges, and using the media to augment their sick, twisted, demented message is not good for the public health.
Well, and you're absolutely right. But for radical left-wingers, again, put yourselves in their shoes. They think the world is going to end in less than a dozen years. So, impeachment is sort of, just a small potatoes compared to what they really believe. The world is coming to an end. The media has been in lockstep with this stuff. I mean, MSNBC, we've been watching all this stuff because we have to, and so that you don't have to. But 24 hours a day, they're basically daring the Democrats not to do it. This is what their activists watch. I mean, anchor after anchor is, you start to see the narrative, basically telling Pelosi, what is she waiting for? Jerry Nadler's right. We should have started impeachment inquiries yesterday. that kind of coverage permeates left-wing media. And so when you're a left-wing politician, from the speaker on down, and you need these folks in your corner, you can't get them upset. And you got to do what they're demanding. And that's another reason why I think they're going to go through with it. She doesn't, all these people say, well, Pelosi's not for impeachment. Pay no attention to that stuff. She's not for impeachment now because she doesn't have to be for impeachment right now. It doesn't do much, doesn't do her any good politically. Again, just speaking strictly politically, doesn't do her any good to just to play that card today. And she wants to be convinced. So that's what she's tasked. Jim Jordan's right, Kevin. The memorandums of understanding are out there between the Democrat committee chairman. Every single committee on the House side, their primary responsibility now is to investigate the President of the United States from every angle. That's what they're dealing with. That's all they do. So, I'm not suggesting that they're going to find anything, or the Mueller report was just the beginnings of it. And you just knew, we talked about this a few months ago. What happens if the Mueller report is a dud for them? Well, they'll just keep investigating the president. And so, the tax returns and all this stuff have come back up. So this is political warfare. It's the reality of the times that we live in. And they're not going to stop because the press and their rabid activists will not allow them to stop. And that's why I think they're going to go ahead with it. The evidence is irrelevant. And whether or not the Senate takes it up is irrelevant. The country has never been asked to reelect an impeached president before. Remember, Clinton was impeached after his reelection. So this is a different dynamic. And so that's what they want. They want to repay, conservatives and Republicans for what happened to Clinton. So that's just where I think this is going. And so to the extent that we can be prepared for it,
right,
and neutralize its impact, and make people who support this president want to vote for him twice. That's the end goal. So this we're in a base politics situation right now.
David Bozell, foramerica.org. Time flies, brother. Always appreciate your friendship and your expertise,
thanks,
sir.
Appreciate it. Enjoy the new field out there. That looks pretty.
Take care, David. See you.
All right. Yeah, take it easy.
Our great friend David Bozell coming up next. Is it time to start flying the rainbow flag over the state capitol? Some states say yes. The government says no. We'll get your thoughts next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Always appreciate you listening. Know you have a lot of choices in the morning. So there's a new controversy going on throughout the world involving the State Department. That's right. President Trump has said no more rainbow or gay flags. The gay flag is not to fly over the United States embassies. Apparently, some people in embassies across the world have decided not to listen to the President of the United States. They've decided that they're going to call their own shots. Some state capitals, well, you have the gay flag flying. In Idaho, that isn't the case. I'm sure in the city of Boise, it's very different, where you have the rainbow flags everywhere. And, of course, we have the controversy that continues and will continue over whether or not the State House should be painted with the rainbow colors. The state says we're not going to allow it anymore, and you have the pride activists saying, well, the state of Idaho, you're not the boss of us. We're going to spend more money that could be used, in my opinion, in other places to have a better force for good than fireworks and lighting up the Capitol. But sometimes political statements get in the way of sanity. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. But the idea that, as we've often liked to say, what's next? will we have the activists wanting the rainbow flag over the state of Idaho? Coming up, the vice president sounds off on this. First, traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Kevin Miller in the morning. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave. And let's go to the phones. Tea Party Bob joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. Lovely, lovely day today, and I just want to thank you for another great show. Just a quick note on John Dean. This man is so irrelevant, and I'm not sure why anyone would buy his book or watch him on CNN, let alone let him testify before Congress. You can see more every day how desperate the Democrats are getting, because when the truth comes out about the Russian witch hunt, they will be decimated in the next election. I wanted to chime in a little bit on the health care in America, which has become so expensive that we are finding more and more people going without it, and it has become unaffordable for many families. But the crisis has hit the elderly, including our veterans, harder than any other group. You know, we are fortunate here in Boise to have one of the best facilities for veterans in the country, and you and I have seen that firsthand as we've gone down there each year, how well these veterans are cared for. Unfortunately, it's not the same for the civilian part of the population, who in many cases are in nursing homes, and they're in nursing homes who pretend to do a good job, but when you look into the background, there's a lot more going on. About 3 years ago, a person who worked for a nursing home in the Treasure Valley, someone I have the utmost respect for, told me a story about the treatment of the elderly in this particular home where she worked and how they were treated so badly. She had to leave the industry to find another job. She told me about residents of these facilities who would be left to lie in their own feces for days and get cleaned up only when the staff knew the family was coming to visit. You know, the problem was that the families didn't know how the relatives were being treated, and the staff would keep their mouths shut about any of the problems, or they'd be fired. So I'm glad to see that they are finally doing something to investigate some of these horrendous circumstances that many of our elderly are living in. And when it comes to free health care for the illegals, let's face it, nothing is free. And the state of California is going to pay $100 million to provide this service, and the taxpayers are going to pay for it. You know, not the Chamber of Commerce or the corporations. You have to realize that the corporations don't want to pay for health care anymore and are behind the single-payer plan proposed by the left socialist-minded Democrats. And we're also behind the Obamacare proposal, which, again, was going to be single-payer eventually. Think about it. Health care is the most expensive single item on a corporate expense sheet. And they would love to have that money in the coffers, that they didn't have to give this benefit to the employees and could basically keep it for themselves. You just have to look at the Chamber of Commerce that's always criticizing Trump for his policies because he's trying to turn this country around by using tariffs. But it hurts the corporate profits. That's not good for them. The corporations are the ones who want to have the ability to produce products in countries with the cheapest labor and taxes through globalization, and are also in favor of more immigrants coming into this country because it needs cheaper labor for them. And I don't think we need the rainbow flag over the state capitol, or maybe we should change the name of the capital to the Land of Oz instead of Boise.
Well, you know, it's a political statement.
Of course it is.
And
everything's a political statement nowadays.
Right. It's a political statement. And you think to yourself, okay, then you have to let everybody do it. And that's why the state said no one's going to do it. And that didn't stop the activists, the priors, from saying, you're not the boss of us. And you have Albertsons, and you have the Hot Box in Huntington giving the priors the money to do this. Now, I would argue that if people are being persecuted in the LGBTQ whatever, then this money, instead of being used for a grand display, and even that they have extra money for fireworks, put it in a legal fund. Put it in a legal fund.
You know, you're not going to see a lot of that happen. Albertsons is probably one of the most liberal organizations here in Idaho. And I've seen that. They're probably the reason we still have Common Core and the SBAC test and all the other garbage we have in our education system. They have too damn much control. And they're not going to change anytime soon. So, yeah, they're going to be they're backing the gays. They're going to be backing the Democrats. And they're doing it from a position that they don't want anybody to really know about it, because who knows, it might actually affect their earnings.
Tea Party Bob, Thank you for the call. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. More of your phone calls in a minute. First, out to the White House. John Decker joins us. Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, Kevin. Hope you're doing well today.
Boy, it's been a while. I caught you at the top of the hour and ago. Boy, it's been a while since we've had a chance to catch up with John Decker and what's going on at the White House with the president, the gang, and there's never a dull moment, sir. Where should we begin?
Yeah, never a dull moment indeed. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks, so the president's been away, I've been away, and we're both back at the White House today, and of course talking to you, Kevin, on your show. The president reacting to the continued investigation by the House Judiciary Committee. The chairman, Jerry Nadler, has decided not to in any way hold a vote to hold the Attorney General, William Barr, in criminal contempt, he says, for now. That's after the Justice Department provided more documents from the Mueller investigation. In addition to that, there's going to be a resolution that's voted on today in the House that would make it easier for Democrats in the House of Representatives to sue the Trump administration and other potential witnesses who refuse to comply with subpoenas. So that is going to be voted on today. It will pass because, of course, Democrats control the House of Representatives. And, look, the president, he's going to be hitting the road today. Kevin, he's heading out to Iowa. It's a day trip, and Iowa is going to be a very critical state for the president in 2020.
Well, and Joe Biden will be there, so I'm sure, and Biden vows that he's going to, give it to the president. Your thoughts on a preview of this?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Joe Biden, of course, the front runner for Democrats right now. It's 9 months away before any voting takes place, but pretty interesting that Joe Biden and the president will be in the same state at the same time, and this may be a preview of next November. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of things that need to take place between now and then. But the president clearly views Joe Biden right now, anyway, as his main competition. He's pretty much indicated he believes that Joe Biden, the former vice president, will be the Democratic nominee in 2020.
President, I think, unlike any in modern time, just seems to love the road and gets his strength from being out with the folks. Well,
he does. So hitting the road today and then also next week, I already know of a trip. It's going to be on the 18th of June. It's going to be a significant date for the president. The president's going to travel to Orlando, Florida. The vice president's going to join him. The first lady, Mrs. Pence, will be there. And why are they doing this? They're going to announce officially that the president is running for a second term as president. We already knew that, but this will be the official announcement. I'll be traveling with the president on that particular trip, so that'll be interesting. And, of course, we'll talk about it leading up to and in the aftermath of the trip to Orlando. But you're absolutely right to your point, Kevin. The president loves getting out there, meeting and greeting and doing these campaign rallies. And I've noticed, look, the excitement is still there for people that show up for campaign rallies for the president.
John Decker, good to have you back, sir.
Hey, it's good to be back. Thanks a lot, Kevin, and we'll talk real soon. Have a great day.
You too. Our great friend John Decker joining us. Liberal Steve returns on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning.
Good morning, America. Mr. Miller, every real American, every true, neighborly, God-fearing, loving American has a rainbow flag in front of their residence or their apartment or on their car or a sticker. Really? Every true American, everyone that loves their neighbor, loves the surgeon that might do your appendectomy today or your hernia, or the cardiologist that may save your life.
Wow, I haven't heard that one before.
All your neighbors, everybody, we're all just full of love for each other. It has nothing to do with your sexuality because of all your Puritans like Tea Party Bob and Right to Lifer and these guys out there. I mean, come on. Hatred is everywhere, and insanity is everywhere. Do you remember August 1st, 1966, what happened? How old were you then, Kevin?
Can't say that I do. I was not alive yet.
Charles, you weren't alive?
No.
Charles Whitman got into a Texas University tower and executed 18 people. First person he shot was a female that was about 8 months pregnant. 30-some wounded. And it hasn't stopped since. They took his brain apart, found out he did have a tumor. He stabbed his mother and his wife to death the night before he went to the tower. But we haven't heard a thing what was going on in the brain of these shooters out there. They blame it on the gun. Let's get back to why things happen. And why did the airplane crash outside Medford and the Marsing real estate agent didn't have a clue that it was even gone from the airport? Thank God it wasn't flying into a tower. Let's talk about real important things, okay? And love.
Right. You've kind of lost me here with the recap of 1966. So the topic at hand is it intolerable for the state of Idaho not to fly the gay flag, and the president telling the embassies don't fly the rainbow flag, and some of the people saying we're going to do it anyway? That's not right. That's not following direction.
The president doesn't have a clue. One day he's for the love for other people other than what he is, an adulteress. He's for the gays, and the next day he doesn't want to promote a good, free America and lifestyle.
Well, if you have to promote the gays, don't you have to promote the straights?
Yeah, go ahead, promote the straights.
I don't see anybody promoting the straights this week.
Do you need to be promoted, Mr. Miller? Are you straight or are you gay?
I am straight. But we're talking about inclusion, why don't we have the SLGBT community? Why do we have people? Why do we have people that have come up to me and said, you keep talking that way, Miller, and we're going to get you? And then people have told me, now I haven't seen this firsthand, that down at the farmers market, you have people running around during the parade, wearing nothing but pasties. Now, that's not family friendly, and apparently these are not people that you want wearing nothing but the pasties. I'm just reporting the facts.
It wouldn't bother me, but I guess it would bother you, but I don't care if they just wear pasties.
It is a bother. Look, if you're here to be serious, I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously if you're naked as a jaybird.
Well, Mr. Miller, have you done as much for the state of Idaho as Joe Albertson? Have you given as much to the food banks of Idaho as Joe Albertson stores have?
No, I haven't.
But yet you want to run down Albertson.
No, I'm just reporting. I'm just reporting what the news reports say, that Albertsons and the Hot Box, the people that in Huntington, pardon me, I had to take a toke. They paid for the lighting.
So what?
So what am I? Did I criticize Albertsons? Apparently that represents their values.
Oh, so you should criticize these people because they want to represent love.
And my criticism was, instead of spending the money to light the State House, why not spend the money for a legal defense fund or to help people that really need it, as opposed to a fireworks display? If there truly are hate crimes, if there truly are issues that need to be addressed in the state of Idaho, use that money from Albertsons, use that money from the Huntington weed place, and put it in a legal fund or an indigent fund. Wouldn't that go a lot farther than having the colors of the rainbow and the fireworks? Oh, that's not fun. That actually makes a difference.
Are you going to let me talk?
We've had enough of you talking. Actually,
Miller, here's a big surprise. They already support the fund groups, the legal fund groups.
Right.
But they're giving money to them already, but they don't promote it. It's the newspapers that are saying the money's coming from there.
Well, but it is, because that's the values that they support. Everybody can have values. Look, we can agree to disagree. My issue comes in when you try and silence someone like me or a conservative that says, this is not my thing. Where is my place this week?
Pride months. Did the administration direct U.S. embassies not to fly the pride flag?
I'm aware that the State Department indicated that on the flagpole of our American embassies that one flag should fly, and that's the American flag, and I support that.
To the LGBTQ community who feels as though that runs counter to the president celebrating Pride Month in his tweet?
Well, look, as the president said on the night we were elected, we're proud to be able to serve every American. And we both feel that way very passionately. But when it comes to the American flagpole at American embassies and capitals around the world, having the one American flag fly, I think, is the right decision. And we put no restrictions on displaying any other flags or any other displays at our embassies beyond that.
There we have it. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Once again, whether you agree with the Pride Week or not, Idaho proving itself to be the most tolerant state in the country because you have the Pride thing, you have this going on, that going on. I would say a lot of folks don't agree with it, but they don't badmouth it. They don't say anything that it's wrong, right? I mean, we all have to get along, don't we? But putting it up, the state capitol flag, replacing the flag of Idaho, would you be in favor of that? Love to hear what you have to say next. Plus, the marijuana industry is after Mike Crapo, and it's not a good thing. We'll tell you about that next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Industry can't use banks and credit unions, but the bankers are trying to change that. Now, remember, the bankers are the same people that target the gun industry, which is legal in America, and they don't want to take the gun manufacturers, the gun makers, they don't want to take any of their money. Now, marijuana is legal in some states. Companies that sell it cannot use banks and credit unions to store their funds. That's right, because federally it is against the law. Banking Association officials from all 50 states, including Idaho, well, they've got an agenda. And their agenda now is to pressure Mike Crapo of Idaho, who happens to be the chairman of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. Now, that same House Financial Committee, which is different, voted 45-15 to pass H.R. 1595, which would allow banks to use the marijuana, right, to be able to use the funds there. The bill hasn't passed the House. A Senate version was announced in April with 22 co-sponsors. So now you have pressure on whether or not banks can be, a place, a repository for illicit funds garnered from marijuana sales. Jim in Middleton joins us now. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, Kevin, just a few notes in regards to the gay flag being flown and what have you. You know, there are so many different groups, clubs, organizations in the United States. You can't have a flag flown for every purpose, straights and this, that, and the Lions Club, this club, that club, or whatever. You know, that's just ridiculous. The fact that conservative, traditional Americans are under siege in nearly over half the states. Go to New York, you even talk about being pro-life, and you know what Cuomo says about people like that. But your last caller, you know, he just takes up way too much airtime, says very little, and makes the most ridiculous arguments. You can't see the whole picture of what's happening in America. People like him and many others, Kevin, who embrace almost every lifestyle and socialism and so forth, you notice that none of them leave America to go to those places because there's far more socialistic and communistic countries and there's only one totally free America. You notice that they just talk, but they don't walk?
I like the idea that he talks a lot and doesn't say anything.
Well, anyway, your airtime is pretty valuable. You know, you do have to, as one of the radio hosts say, they have to take an insane profit break and what have you. You know, that's what,
yes.
That's what pays everybody's wages over there and what have you. But anyway, I don't want to keep going on, but I'll keep it short. But I just wanted to share that with you, Kevin. And anyway, you have a better than fine day.
God bless, Jim. Take care.
You bet. Talk to you later.
All right, our great friend Jim in Middleton giving us his take. By the way, Jim had a chance to stop by along with our friend Randy the Biker. Yes, Randy the Biker, Randy the Builder, and just a really great show of camaraderie, great show of brotherhood. Cooked dinner for us at the Walmart parking lot. I think it was on Friday. It was the most amazing meal that I've had in quite some time. Just shows you the values of our community. Here, Jim comes and look, we ate and ate and ate. It was a great time, and I know the folks at the Mission loved it. I loved it. Walmart folks loved it. So, Jim, thank you. And we've thanked you before, but thanking you publicly. If you're just tuning in, right before Glenn Beck, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. A couple things going on. This controversy over the State Department saying the American flag is the only flag that should be flying over the embassies. Now, we've got this big controversy involving the rainbow colors and it going over the State House. When will it stop? Even though no one is allowed to do it. You have the Pride people saying this is more important than anything else. We're going to do it. We're going to spend additional money to do it. You have the Hot Box in Huntington, I believe, and Albertsons and others spending money to make this happen. That is their right. That's their privilege. They back those values. Other folks say, you know something? The state capitol should not be a political statement, should not be a cultural statement. And if it is, then it should be open for everybody else. Now, what's next? Will people demand that the rainbow flag replace the Idaho state flag in the state capitol to show that you are tolerant? Well, what happens if you publicly disagree? Does that make you intolerant? And, of course, Idaho and Idaho values very different from the city of Boise and Mayor Beater's battles or values. And, you know, we could have a new mayor in the city of Boise. We'll see how that plays out as well. Traffic and weather together. Kevin Miller in the morning. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave. Thank you, Jim. Kevin Miller in the morning. Back to the phones. We go to Max in Garden City. Max, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. You know, the rainbow flag, the entire idea should disturb anybody in America who wants a cohesive and strong society. The LGBTQ community represents an extreme minority in this country. But because their goal is to undermine the morals of this country through aberrant behavior, they have gotten a foothold with the libs who run and control the media. Flying that flag anywhere near the American flag is an insult. It's an insult to me. It's an insult to you. It's an insult to the American family. And understand, I'm not the only doctor who believes that homosexuality is not genetic. It is an aberrant behavior. It is a mental condition. It requires treatment. This is not normal in nature, and it's not normal in humanity, and it is immoral and a danger to the fabric of our society. That ought to get some people upset. How about it, Bruce? You want to give me a pinch? What do you think?
Max, thank you for the call. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. The comments, views, and opinions of those of the host, its callers do not reflect the views, hosts of the host, callers, and everybody else. So much for that lame disclaimer. The cultural battle continues here on KIDO Talk Radio. Glenn Beck, Dave Ramsey, Sean Hannity, and, of course, Lars Larson will take you home this afternoon. But more importantly, I think it's more important that we have these debates concerning, well, what is and what isn't acceptable. And the state of Idaho should take a look at itself and figure out what direction they want to go. Usually the state says, I'm libertarian, do whatever you want. Is that working out for us? By the way, wonderful blog on the solution to our transportation constipation. Yeah, I said it. Ray, am I? Great job as always. God bless everyone.